I know, you're probably thinking I already saw every theory possible about Little Nightmares, that I saw many lore videos and story analysis of it, and that I have pretty good idea of it. But I did too, and I found something many others did not talk about or even considered. I was so shocked. I mean, what I found out will change your whole perspective about Little Nightmares, about sex, about Mono, even about the lurking monsters, about the whole world of nowhere. So stay tuned and give me your attention for a moment. I promise you won't regret it. But first, you have to watch part 1 to have complete understanding of my theory. After Six got into the raft, witnessing Ruth's demise, she was terrified, all alone in a monstrous world, thinking she tried her best that she could be with a friend. But that was shattered the moment the pretender jumped on the girl that saved her life, Ruth, ending both of them. Six sailed through the open sea, stuck on the nowhere. She got to a shore in the sides of the forest, walking through the woods, and at some point she sees a kid. This kid is one of the protagonists in this tale. His name is Mano. Their eyes met each other until the hunter appeared. The hunter is one of the residents of the nowhere who lives in a cabin in the woods. He was searching for Mano likely, or just going through the forest checking if he caught anything in his traps and putting in new ones. Unfortunately, he noticed Six and took her away to his cabin. Later on, after a period of time, it is unknown how long, maybe a week, month, who knows. Mono wakes by a nearby TV in the forest, going by his way, avoiding many traps set by the hunter. He reaches the cabin. He enters the cabin and hears music coming from downstairs. He goes down into the basement towards the sound, and he looks through the door and he sees Six playing a music box. Mono then picks up an axe and hits the weak boards of the door and enters the room, only to see the frightened Six hiding under the table, scared. Mono tries to calm her and reach his hand slowly to her, to show her he means no harm, only to help free her. Six reaches out to his hand, but then pushes him aside and tries to run away, going up the stairs. Mono takes a quick look to the room and noticed scratch marks on the wall, and they are very important though. I've seen many theories and some of them made sense. But trust me, with this theory of mine, it will shed a new light to the meaning behind them. Actually, it will change your whole perspective of the entire game. But rest assured, I'll break them down to you in a way no one else has done, if my theory is true. But talking about them right now would spoil everything. So I promise we will talk about them, but in the right time. Okay, so Mono go up following Six. He sees her unable to reach the attic. So in that moment, Six being a smart and survivor, she knew she cannot escape on her own. So she agrees to accompany Mono. Together, they reach the attic, picks up the key, open the locked door to where the hunter do his creative work. Unfortunately, while they trying to escape through a hatch in the door, the hunter hears them, and he follows them with a shotgun. The kids run away, reaching a shack where they see a shotgun inside, then picks up the shotgun while the hunter trying to barge his way in. The kids aim it towards the door and shoot, ending the hunter for good. Then the kids leaving behind the shack see a door frame. They push it together into the sea. Six sits alone in the corner. Mono sits alone too. This scene really hits in the feels because Six is just protecting herself. She's been through a lot for sure, I believe she's too scared on losing another person she might care for, so she distanced herself away from anyone. And don't forget, she's been a prisoner for God knows how long. Anyway, back to the story. After sailing for a few minutes, they reach the Pale City, but the city feels evil. It's like all warped, deserted, and dangerous. They walk past some buildings, noticing there is no one around, only their clothes. Like they got evaporated, and only their clothes remained. Going further into the city, they reach a school. Going up the rope made of sheets, they enter through a window. Walking few feet up the corridor, they notice someone in a room, so they get quiet, waiting for them to leave. Anyway, they go deeper into the school, only to be ambushed by students made of porcelain. And I have a big revelation about those students and what's happened to the real human ones. Anyway, those evil porcelain bullies drop a locker into Mono, locking him up inside it, and once he got out, they already overpowered Six, kidnapping her. Mono tries to follow them, but they take her into a trapdoor, leads to the floor ahead, and they took the ladder so he cannot follow them. Then Mano tried to find another way to go up to save Six. After going through more of the porcelain bullies and the long-necked evil teacher, he manages to find a way up to Six after rescuing her and the touching moment where Six actually started to trust and care for Mano. You can tell by the way her demeanor changes towards him, but also later on, we see one of the sides of Six we did not see before. She goes through her way and chokes a student that was minding its own business, doing surgery to a frog. I mean, what did they do to her so that she had such anger towards them? I can't say I do blame her, but the way she ended its life was feral. I mean, that world, it can change you for sure. Also, we really do not have any idea how long she's been in the nowhere and what she's been through. It got to get to anyone after all. Anyway, they continue going forward deeper into the school, trying to escape the horrifying establishment, going through more evil bullies, and escapes the most scary monster in the history of gaming, the long-necked teacher. Then they got outside, surviving the school. After that traumatic event, walking under the heavy rain, we get into a luggage room, a disclosed place in the Bale City, and Six and Mano notices a yellow raincoat in the floor right in front of them. Now, here's the question. Why is it important? And is it the same raincoat that Ruth was wearing? How did it reach the Pale City? And if it's not the same one, does that mean it's just a coincidence? The yellow raincoat is very important in Little Nightmares, as it's shown it resembles trauma and hard times for Six, and Six wearing it reminds her of the past she might forgot, and that's why after wearing it, her whole persona as a survivor kicks in. She's not afraid, it seems like, because she lunges in front of Mono, jumping from the elevator to beds, going fast, breaking the fingers of a mannequin, and more other things. You get the idea, but we are getting way ahead of ourselves here. So let's go back a little. So Ruth finds it, wear it. After her fall from the cliff, we see the raincoat floating. Did Six wear it then? And if that's so, then how did she lose it? How did it end up in the disclosed luggage room? I believe there is no coincidence in that realm. Little Nightmares thrive on the visual storytelling. Here's what I think. I believe that children always being watched, orchestrated to do whatever that world wants them to. And here's my argument. In the radio series Sounds of Nightmares, Ruth in the end, before going with the ferryman, she tells Otto that now she remembers the ferryman. She tells Otto that he was always there, waiting and watching in anticipation for the right time and place. And once she was in the threshold and the door appeared, she heard her voice coming from the other side of the door. The door opens and she sees the ferryman standing by the door holding his hand and speaks to her to join him in the nowhere. There he promises she will be better off from the bullies at school and the toxic family she has and being a lab rat for their tests and exams and cures. She will not be sick anymore, no more nightmares. Once she takes his hand and walks through the door, she sees the many eyes entity and says she felt as it's happy and pleased with what it sees. Okay, throughout her experience in the nowhere before getting stuck there, I believe with the no way back, she has these moments where she feels certain things. It seems not her own feelings or intuition or guts, but it's like something else making her or manipulating her emotions to act in a certain way or do certain things. So we established that the ferryman is always there with her, watching over her. His powers is incredible when it comes to manipulation, and he's very damn good in his job. He can read the mind, knowing Ruth's name and past and conditions without her saying a word. He can change his voice to match whoever he desires. Maybe he even can shapeshift his looks too. But I believe the main feeling manipulator, the one who can make Ruth has those feelings, is the I entity. And my reasoning is because she never said that the ferryman was pleased or that she felt any feelings from him. She only said she remembers he was always watching and waiting, but who does she says was feeling pleased? Only the eyes entity. She said that it feels as it is pleased with what it sees. So it communicates through emotions and mind control. So now you must think it's far reach, right? No. Listen to this. I believe only once you take the hand of the ferryman willingly into the nowhere, you cannot reawake in the real world. You're gonna be stuck there until you find your way out or die trying. And I believe the eye sees everything in that world. Hence why you see the eye signs everywhere. I mean, you see it in the mall, in the nest, in the pale city, everywhere. But the ferryman has first to manipulate the children to enter by their own will. After that, it's the eye's turn to keep them in track, watch over them, then manipulate their feelings to act in the way that serves the world of nowhere. So when Ruth died by the pretender and fell down the cliff, the raincoat floated. We see Six leaving by a raft. I believe the ferryman, by orders from the ice entity, took the raincoat and put it where Six will find it again as a reminder of the previous wearer, and I have more reasons that will support this theory, but I won't say them for now because it will interfere with the pacing of my story analysis. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's why I believe it wasn't a coincidence. If you want to know how the ferryman knew she gonna cross that area and the rest of the tale, from my perspective, you gotta wait for part 3. Make sure to subscribe and don't miss my theory. It will go so deep, just wait and see. And while you're here, go check my other content. You might enjoy what you see. Have a good day and see you in the next video.